Welcome back, Canisius College, to Hashtag Griff Sports. I'm Kyle Ferrara today, joined by...
I'm Joe Rotigliano. We've got an exciting show lined up for you this week. Kyle, I know you spoke with Denver Spearman yesterday.
Yes, I did. That was a great interview, and we'll air that for you. Also, Nate Barilari will be on the show to talk volleyball and the release of the women's basketball schedule. But first, what do you say we take a look at last week's highlights?
Sounds like a plan to me. The Griffs men's soccer team looking for their first home win against the Colonials of Robert Morris University. Trailing 1-0 early on, Nicolo Baudo is about to change that. Denver Spearman's cross is deflected by the defense, but Baudo, comes out of nowhere to drive it past the keeper and tie it at 1. That's his second goal as a Golden Griff. 10 minutes later, Andrew Inco performing his famous flip throw. He finds John Carey, who sends it into the net from 12 yards out, his first goal of the season for the Griffs as they take a 2-1 lead. Second half now in the 68th minute. The Griffs are tied at 2, but check out the fight from Baudo, who somehow gets the shot off past the post, but he still goes after it, finds Andrew Inco, who puts it in from the 6, and the Griffs take the 3-2 lead, and that's where it would stay. They are now 2-1 on the season.
Andrew Inco was named the MAC Offensive Player of the Week for his performance in that game. The senior forward had a career-high 3 points off of 1 goal and 1 assist. Moving on to women's soccer now, the Griffs taking on Albany on Friday night. Let's pick this one up in the second half, and you'll see senior Katie Griffin finding Mallory Ilsley, who puts it in the near corner of the net for her second goal of the season, extending the Griffs' lead to 2-0. 73rd minute now, off a corner kick. This is going to be Bree Smith. Her shot off the post, but Brittany Kraus right there for the rebound, puts it home for her first goal of the season. Take a look, though. Kraus starts celebrating just a little bit too early before she realizes, oh, wait, just kidding. Let me put that in the back of the net. She does. Now they can go crazy. Griffs take a 3-0 lead, and they would win their second game of the season behind a tremendous offensive performance.
So let's see if that momentum would carry over to Sunday afternoon against Akron. And head coach Jim Wendling's message to the team, score the first goal. Bree Smith gets that Griffs first goal and the momentum, but Akron would not waste any time taking it right back. They've already tied it at 1, and now it's Lainey Smith zipping down the field, puts it past Megan Tock from the 6th, and Akron takes a 2-1 lead and holds on for the victory. The Griffs finish their non-conference play 2-6-1.
It was a busy week for Griffs volleyball. They earned their first 2 wins of the season over the weekend in the Bucknell Invitational. First, they swept Fairleigh Dickinson on Saturday, led by senior outside hitter Emily Alex, 12 kills, and also a double-double from freshman Jacqueline Malusa. It wouldn't be as easy the next afternoon against Bucknell, however. The Griffs fell into an early 0-2 hole, but they came all the way back to win the match behind sophomore middle Lauren Siebert's career-high 19 kills and a team season high of 14 blocks.
So the Griffs would take that modest 2-game winning streak into their matchup with UB on Tuesday night. But the Griffs struggled to get anything going offensively, and the undefeated Bulls showed why they are without a loss, making quick work of Canisius. Siebert and Malusa shared the team lead with 8 kills apiece, but for the most part, the Griffs' offensive attack was shut down. But the Griffs will head into MAC play this coming weekend, coming off an encouraging 2-1 weekend.
And we'll take a look at that upcoming schedule in just a second. But first, Griffs Golf finished 4th out of 9 squads in the Leo Keenan Invitational. 3 Griffs finished among the top 15, led by sophomore Brandon Polson, who tied a career low on Monday with a 73.
Now moving on to the upcoming schedule, men's soccer still finishing up non-conference play. They will take on Western Michigan on Friday and wrap up the weekend playing Detroit on Sunday morning. Meanwhile, the women's team will begin MAC play this Saturday at Iona and play their first home conference game Wednesday afternoon against Rider.
Meanwhile, Griffs volleyball will also get started with MAC play this weekend. Both games on the road. On Saturday, they'll play St. Peter's, and on Sunday, we'll square off against Rider. Finally, Griffs cross country will take part in the National Catholic Championships in South Bend, and Griffs golf will play in the Cornell Invitational. Next on Hashtag Griff Sports, my interview with Denver Spearman, and Joe and I will debate the preseason rankings for Griffs basketball and hockey. This is Hashtag Griff Sports. They're not going to be able to hear us. Their mics are muted. Oh, it is. Yeah, so commercial, not World. Welcome back again to hashtag Griff Sports. As we mentioned earlier, I sat down with Denver Spearman a few days ago, and we're going to show you that interview right now. Kyle Ferrara here with hashtag Griff Sports. I'm joined by Denver Spearman. At the end of this segment, you and Nate switch. And the first thing I want to ask you is Denver's kind of a unique name. Do you know the story behind your parents naming you that?
I actually have no idea. It is a unique name. I know they used to go biking there lots, mountain biking. I'm guessing it has to do with it somewhat, but I don't ask too many questions about it.
All right, fair enough. Now, moving on to the field, you know, you're one of the team's key offensive players, and you're heading into MAC play soon. You got another week before it. But last year going into it, you were hurt. There were some other injuries. Do you feel that this year the team's kind of regrouped and that fall off isn't going to happen again?
Yeah, I think we learned a lot from last year with regards to what we need to do going into MACs. The games are more important. You can't let up for one game because every game counts towards the final standings. We have 2 games this weekend and then a game against Bonaventure, I believe, that we need to be ready for those in order to be strong going into MAC play.
You've also added some key pieces this year. I know Nico transferred over here. Can you talk about what he means to the team?
He's brought a lot to the team. I've been really impressed with him. We lost Jared last year in the holding midfield, so he's actually filled in very well, and he's just controlled the play out there. It's been nice to play with him.
What about the freshman class? Can you touch on that a little bit?
They've been pitching in well in practice and in the games. They work hard and they want time on the field, so if they keep working hard, that'll come.
What do you think is your best skill out on the field?
For me, I just think it's hard work. I mean, if anyone can work hard, even if they're having a bad game, you can always put in the effort. And for me, that's the biggest part of the game. As long as you work hard, things will come your way.
This is Coach's 3rd year here at Canisius. He obviously has meant a lot to the program as it keeps improving. Do you see it continuing to improve and you guys becoming one of the premier programs in the conference?
That's all I see. With the recruits he's brought in and with what he's teaching us every day in practice, we get better every day. And you can see that in the way we play, and hopefully that shows in the MAC this year. So I only see good things coming for this program.
You were in that first recruiting class of his. Can you talk about you and the other guys and how you evolved now in your junior year?
It was tough coming in at first. I mean, the team didn't have the best reputation, and that's why Coach came in. He wanted to change that. So, and being a freshman as well, coming in, you're not sure what to expect. So it was hard to adapt, but he definitely took us under his wing and developed us, and we're here now and definitely seen improvements.
You played with Alex DeCarolis since you guys were little kids. What's it like to have that kind of a relationship with somebody else on the team?
It's nice. It's nice to know a player, like what he's going to do. We've played since we were 4 years old, went to preschool together. So we're always on the same page as each other. I know what kind of runs he's going to make, and the same with him with me. So it's been nice, and it's nice to have someone from Sarnia as well, just to hang out with on campus.
What's something unique about yourself that not a lot of people know, not even soccer related?
I used to run cross country in high school, and I went to the Ontario Championships and placed 11th one year.
Okay.
Most people don't know that about me, so that's what I'd say. And I played rugby and football in high school. Another fun fact, I guess.
Do you think you would have been good enough to run or play any other sport at a D1 level?
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not one to brag. I don't think I would be good enough, and I don't think I would have the commitment to run cross country in college. And I would think that's one of the toughest sports to do in college. Like, you have to take care of your body so well. So, yeah, I don't think that would be for me.
What do you think would be different about the commitment level from soccer to cross country?
Definitely what you eat. Just a lot of things. I mean, soccer you have to be in shape, but cross country, you're running every single day for a long period of time. Soccer's kind of a different fitness, so it suits me more.
And that was the very interesting, very talented Denver Spearman. And now, Joe, I think it's time that we debut a brand new game, Over Under, where you and I will debate the preseason rankings for a few of the Griff's winter sports teams. And let's start right out with men's basketball. They were everybody's surprise team last year. Picked to finish third in the MAC this year in the preseason poll. Over under third place for the men's basketball Griffs.
You know, I'm going to go over. I think that they're going to finish probably 1 or 2 this year. Or the real possibility that they'll finish even. Those guys are pretty solid this year. They're very talented. The two teams picked ahead of them, Iona and Manhattan, are also very talented. I think the Griffs can steal a couple games. If they finish even at 3 in the regular season, I also think that they're going to play much better in the MAC tournament. And, you know, I'm going to play optimist here and say that they're going to at least get to the MAC championship game this year.
Well, I agree with your point about Iona and Manhattan. Those are two very, very talented schools. I see them 1, 2 in some order. So that means the ceiling for the Griffs has got to be 3. So it's a fair ranking, but I maybe see them a little bit under. They're taking a step back offensively, losing Harold Washington, losing Isaac Sosa. Obviously, they've got Chris Perez coming in, but is he going to have the same kind of familiarity with Billy Barron that the other two did? Is he going to be able to work his way into the system to provide another legit scoring threat? I think there's too much change on offense. Not that they're going to be bad by any means. They're going to be a top 5 team in the MAC for sure, probably top 4. And like I said, I think 3 is a fair ranking for them going into the preseason. But if I have to choose, I'm probably going to say under on this one.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair bet. But I think, you know, as you mentioned, Chris Perez as a legit scoring threat. He comes from Stetson University and was, you know, all conference there, and I think that he's going to bring a legit scoring threat to Canisius. And I think also they're going to be a little bit, you know, more four-dimensional than last year with just Sosa, Barron, and Washington as their scoring threats. I think Chris Manhertz is a guy to watch out for, as well as Jordan Heath down low. So moving on from men's basketball, let's talk about the Atlantic Hockey Champs, who won their conference tournament last year after being seeded, I believe, 7th overall. What do you think? They were chosen at 4th.
Well, Joe, we talked about this yesterday, and at that point, I think I told you I see them finishing under, but I'm calling an audible here. I think that they are going to finish at least 4th, probably higher. They were on fire in the postseason last year. I think that confidence is going to carry over. They have a lot of holdover talent on the team, a lot of guys who played in NHL camps this offseason. I just think that the sky's the limit for this team this year. Obviously, they've still got Niagara to compete with. They're probably the class of the Atlantic Hockey Association, but I see no reason that the Griffs shouldn't finish at least 4th.
Yeah, and for me, I'm gonna say that they finish a little bit under in the preseason, and not to knock those guys because they are a very talented team, but I think that in the playoffs last year, you know, they were able to play extremely well on the backs of really, you know, a couple of key guys, Kyle Gibbons, Tony Capobianco, and, you know, I'm going to give Tyler Washman the nod there because he played fantastic in the tournament. And really, to be honest, I think this team has some trouble in the regular season getting going, and, you know, that's fine because every team's going to make the tournament for them in their Atlantic Hockey tournament. So I'm going to say they're going to finish maybe 5 or 6. But then come out and play absolutely lights out in the tournament again. And I foresee them having a really, really good tournament, hopefully making it back to the Final Four for the Atlantic Hockey. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. They also get Taylor Law back, who was injured and had I believe 26 points last season. So another guy to look out for.
Here's the thing to remember with Griffs hockey, though. Regardless of what they do in the regular season this year, regardless of what they do in the playoffs, which ideally, you know, you want to make another deep run, but they're really positioning themselves to be a power in college hockey in Western New York. They're going to be playing at the Harbor Center in 2014. They're going to be getting plenty of recruits with everything that does for them. They're going to be probably the best team in this area in a few years down the road.
Absolutely, and I think that's, you know, the Harbor Center is one of the biggest things for Griffs hockey. that's really going to make them, more the toughest school to compete against as far as recruiting goes. Niagara, they do have their own rink, but it's Niagara. I mean, let's be honest, between you and me, we go to Canisius. Niagara's not our favorite school. However, the Griffs have a lot to do with that. Recruiting-wise, I think that they're going to be very solid. They'll have the rink downtown across from First Niagara, and also, most importantly, they played extraordinarily well against Quinnipiac, nearly beating the #1 team in the nation. So, I think Griffs hockey has got a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. And now let's move on to women's basketball. They were picked 6th in the women's MAC preseason poll. Over under 6th place for the women's Griffs.
I think this is going to be tough for them this year. There's obviously a lot of talent in the MAC. There's a lot of teams. Marist has won, I think it's like 7 straight conference tournaments. They're on their way. They've played very well. I think this group of seniors, though, is going to be the key. This group of seniors has played very well, and they're also, a talented group of girls that I think can make a break for that, finishing maybe in the top 4. And I was talking to Jamie Ruddle the other day, senior forward on the team, and she said, if we could just get out of that first game, if they don't have to play in that first 4, and they can have the bye and play on Friday instead of playing on Thursday, I think that would give them an advantage. I'm going to say that they're going to go over and finish in the top 5, maybe even 4, and possibly make it to the last 4 or 5 teams in MAC conference play.
My thing with this team is I don't know just how much improvement they've made from last year. Obviously, Ashley Wilkes is a huge loss. Ashley Durham is a huge loss. Allie Braun is a huge loss. They have a healthy Courtney Vanden Bovingham and a more experienced Tiana Mills, more experienced Crystal Porter. But I don't know if they've really evolved into one of those teams that's going to escape that first round of 4 in the MAC championship. I think 6 is a really fair ranking. This is another one that I almost just want to say push. But, again, I have to choose. I'm probably going to say under. I see them in that first 4 again.
All right. And let's move on. For me as C Block president, we've got the men's basketball team going to play a game at the First Niagara Center on December 11th. And for all of you that have it marked down in your calendars, yeah, that's finals week. Kyle, over under 40 student fans at the First Niagara Center for the men's basketball game against UB on December 11th.
Are my only choices over or under, or can I say really under? This is finals week. I don't see Canisius students coming down to First Niagara. It's not that far. They absolutely should. It's going to be a good game against UB, but we can hardly get them to go to the CAC to watch their team. Are they going to want to go into the heart of downtown Buffalo? I'm willing to bet more Canisius students are going to be studying for their anthropology final than watching men's basketball play at First Niagara, and that is just a shame to me.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. And, for anybody that sees this, obviously finals are a big deal. They're no joke. You shouldn't mess around with them. However, we're playing at the First Niagara Center, and it would be an absolute farce. And more importantly, it would probably cause a great stir among the press, not just at the Griffin, but also in the Buffalo News and in the surrounding newspapers to see, oh, look, Canisius had 10 students show up to a game in a professional arena. And against, a Big 4 rival. A lot of people don't realize that UB is a rival of ours, and we beat them last year at our place. And the UB team is good. They've got a new coach, Bobby Hurley, who is a very famous player from Duke. And, we're going to need some fans down there to make some noise, but I'm going to go under, unfortunately. Games during finals week aren't fabulous, and I know I'll be making the trip, and I'll try and drag as many people as I can with me. But it's also a great doubleheader because Niagara and Davidson play before Canisius and UB, and Davidson's been a power, obviously made famous by Stephen Curry, but we'll see what we get.
We will, and we'll talk about this as it gets closer to the game, but I'm sure C Block also will have plenty of promotional stuff for fans going down to First Niagara. And now we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, and Nate Barrelero will be at the desk with me. We will talk volleyball and some more women's basketball. Stay right here with #Griff Sports.
Wake the sun, tell him that I'm the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
Welcome back to Hashtag Griff Sports. I am now joined by Nate Barilari. And Nate, let's start off talking about volleyball. They're playing right now, and there's some interesting storylines with the team. They lost Sam Good and Allie Severin from last year's team. So is it fair to say that maybe the leadership isn't there as much this year, losing two key players like that?
Well, talking to many of the players, it's actually the opposite. I've talked to the most important player that I've talked to that said something like this is Sydney Palka. She's a setter. She's a senior this year, and she said that this year, as a senior, she decided with the rest of the team that there would be more of a focus on the team and less of a focus on the individual, which she mentioned that last year, a lot of times some of the seniors were more focused on the individual as opposed to the team.
The other thing with this team is there's a fairly strong freshman class coming in. Jacqueline Malusa has been impressive, and then they've also got Caitlin Tyler, who is hurt right now, but I saw her play in the Golden Griffin Invitational, and she looked like a pretty decent player. What does this freshman class bring to the team?
Well, like you said, Caitlin Tyler's hurt. Last I heard was it was a back injury. I've talked to Coach a couple times about it. She's not sure how serious it is. I don't know if she'll be playing again this year or not. Jackie Maluja, she's been playing really well, I think. I talked to the girls, and I think that the freshmen have done a good job fitting into the team. There hasn't been as much of the freshman hiccups, if you will, and I think they're going to play a big role this year.
So all of that being said, where do you think this team winds up at the end of the season? Do they take another step forward and get further in the MAC championships, or does this team take a step back?
Well, it's hard to tell right away. They didn't have a great out-of-conference record. They did well this past weekend, fell apart a little bit against UB, but I think the whole leadership thing is going to work in their favor. Also, I think it helps that they start with St. Peter's, who traditionally hasn't been, a good team in the conference. So I think they definitely make the MAC tournament, and I think the leadership, if they put it all together with the talents they have, I think the leadership can help them at least carry them to the championship game.
All right, let's transition now over to women's basketball. At the end of last week, their schedule was released a week after the men's team. And if you're taking a look at that, what are the biggest games that we should be looking at for our women's basketball team?
Well, it's a set of games that really stood out to me, and it's against none other than Niagara. They play Niagara first on the road, I believe, at the end of January 29th, and then they flip back about a little more than a week later, February 7th, to play them at home. So I think you look at what happens in that first game, and it's going to carry in the minds of the players, both Niagara and Canisius, to the second game. If you see Canisius losing, they're going to have that in the back of their mind. Maybe they'll use it as a motivating factor. Maybe they'll let it get them down, excuse me. But I think that's definitely going to be an interesting matchup because it's Niagara and because it's back-to-back Niagara.
It's rare to see that. I mean, this is only my second year here, but I didn't see anything like that for, I don't think, any team last year. So you're right, it'll definitely be an interesting set of matchups. What about non-conference? I was looking at it, and Akron stood out to me, but that's only because I'm from Akron. It probably means nothing. To you, what's the biggest non-conference game we're looking at?
Well, you look at a team like Michigan State, that'll be an interesting challenge for them. They go on the road to Michigan to play one of the higher-up teams in college basketball. I think that's an interesting one. You also look at the local games, which are always fun. They got UB, they're going on the road for that, and then they got St. Bonaventure at the Kessler Athletic Center.
Big games, as always, especially against St. Bonaventure. That'll be an interesting one. Nate, thanks for joining us. Good stuff as always. I know the Griffin's coming out tomorrow, so good luck with all of that. I'm sure you'll be busy tonight.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, Joe will be back at the desk with me, and we'll wrap up the show with the Buffalo Sports a Minute. Stay right here.
one day that we had just done the cardiovascular unit, in class that day. And then right after class, I went over to the Vascular Institute, volunteered, put the scrubs on. And one of the doctors asked me if I wanted to see an open heart surgery. And so I said, yeah,
really?
sure.
I came into Canisius as obviously as a freshman, not really sure what I wanted to do. I ended up taking a digital media arts class, and that really just kind of jump-started, my career.
And I think being where we are in the city and in the world with the medical campus that we have here is really an opportunity that I wouldn't have anywhere else.
It's more than just academics. Meet different people. Go out and do things. There's so much more to college. It's an experience.
I instantly fell in love with doing video work, graphic design. I started pursuing more and more opportunities in the school, whether it was doing admissions videos on the sides. I did a couple videos for alumni relations, the president of the college, and then I actually got noticed last year, and they sent me over to the Philippines to create a feature-length documentary.
I lived with the host family while I took classes in Spanish with Spanish professors at the University of Oviedo, and I was a Spaniard for a semester, and it was the best decision I made as a college student.
Welcome back to Hashtag Griff Sports. We're going to throw it over to everybody's favorite Brandon Rudd for a Buffalo Sports Minute.
Hey everybody, welcome back and welcome to a brand new Buffalo Sports Minute with your host, Brandon Rudd. Now let's get off what happened on Sunday. The Buffalo Bills played a great, dramatic game against the Carolina Panthers with E.J. Manuel capping off with a 2-minute drive against the Carolina Panthers to win the game. It was such an incredible experience. I was there, and the whole team looked rejuvenated from last season. Now, going on to the Buffalo Sabres, they signed Cody Hodgson to a 6-year contract, which means he's going to be here for a long time, and it's going to be very good for the team. And then they also got started on their preseason, going to play 2 games away previously, and they won both those games. Now, tonight, they're playing against Carolina Hurricanes tonight. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Brandon. And now let's take a look at our Golden Performer of the Week. This week, it is Andrew Winko. No surprise there. A career-high 3 points, a goal and assist against RMU. Congratulations, Andrew Winko, on this award.
And our top play this week is from Andrew Winko. And check out the flip throw once again, which was his assist on Saturday. Was it Saturday?
It was on Sunday.
Sunday,
There's Inco's stats right there. I'll tell you what, the top play is on our website. We're running out of time. Thanks for watching. Joe Rutigliano, Kyle Ferrara. Find us on Twitter at GriffSports4. This is Hashtag Griff Sports.